All right, good morning, everybody. I just want to very briefly, it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut, but very briefly reflect on what I spoke about yesterday, quoting a friend of mine who said that he feels there's no purpose in the Holocaust memorials and so forth. I wasn't necessarily agreeing with him nor disagreeing with him, but I think the main thing is not the way he said it, the issue of strength and weakness and so forth. I think the real issue here is a religious issue. Meaning, when we're talking about why are we remembering this? The Zionists want to remember Israel because they want to remember the Holocaust because they want justification for their state of Israel, for their movement. The secularists want to remember the Holocaust because they want to say, well, where was God? And they want an excuse for the hedonistic lifestyle. And so it's a convenient excuse for them. We Orthodox Jews, I understand they're religious Zionist Orthodox also, so they could have both, perhaps, I don't know, but although really their ideology is a little different, but it's still, a lot of it is rooted in this fear of Holocaust type of things. They see it, I've heard, people who've been through Shas, Balabatim, who've been through Shas with Daf Yomi, tell me that Israel is their insurance plan just in case it happens here, which is a total heresy because it could happen there too. And it happens there. It's been happening there for 70 years. How many thousands, tens of thousands of Jews have died in terrorism and wars and so forth. So it's not, I don't understand that mindset. I mean, Meir Kahane said, they left Pinsk and Minsk and came to Tel Aviv and Haifa, and those places became Pinsk and Minsk. So that's, so this idea that somehow the state of Israel is an insurance plan against the Holocaust when it's a mini Holocaust itself, not against the Palestinians, against the Jews. And it's certainly a spiritual Holocaust against the Jews. But that's neither here nor there. But the reason why Orthodox Jews, or at least a reason why Orthodox Jews should be remembering this, is really to remember it's a practical reason. When things are tough for us, what we think is tough, we have to remember other people went through things that are a lot tougher. The son of one of the Holocaust survivors that I mentioned talked about how his father taught him how to drive and how he got to a red light and he was annoyed by it, the young man at the time. And his father just thought that was the strangest thing he could ever imagine. Why are you upset? And the thing is, I get upset. We all get upset, It's to teach us the big picture. This rabbi told me that his father, he never saw him get upset. He got amused by how silly and how weak we Americans are. And I don't mean, I've discussed other times that in the ultra-Orthodox Hasidic ideology, the way I understand it, there's the opposition to the American culture, but there's of Coca-Cola and Hollywood. But there's an embrace of the American ideology of George Washington, of Thomas Jefferson, and of Abraham Lincoln. Let's put that aside for now. But when he says Americans, he means the Coca-Cola, the bubblegum crowd, as Rabbi Yehuda Levin would say, the sushi eating crowd. talking about Orthodox Jews. Of how spoiled we are, about how, you know, things like that. Anyway. Let's just sum this all up. This is what we have to learn. You know, the story that I heard also at the same Shiva house about a boy from Passaic who was on drugs and this and that and gave up Judaism, and he was inspired to hear the story of a Jew in Mauthausen who grew up, in Hungary and had his bar mitzvah in the 1930s and put on tefillin every day in the concentration camp in Mauthausen. And he said, if he could put on tefillin every day in Mauthausen, I could put on tefillin every day in Passaic. And he came back to Judaism that way, after going through. And another story that Rabbi Weinberger told us, and many others have told us, there was a young man from Mor Sameach or Eshet Torah who decided to go to the mikveh Erev Yom Kippur. First time in his life he's going to the mikveh. And he had tattoos all over his body. And people, now it's a little bit more common because they're more Baalei Tshuva, It's a mikveh in Uman, and you see plenty of people with tattoos. But our religion prohibits tattoos, but people turn their lives around. They don't have to get rid of them just because they turn their lives around. Their past is their past. But there was some people were kind of shocked by this and dismayed by this, and then a Holocaust survivor lifts up his arm and points to his tattoos. He said, "This man went through his hell, and I went through my hell." And the other story about that, with the Satmar Rebbe, he said, when he left Yerushalayim, they asked Rebbe, who can we go to for a bracha? He said, anybody who lifts up their arm to put on tefillin, and you see the numbers on their arm, and they're still putting on tefillin, that's someone you could get a bracha from. He didn't say that you have to be an anti-Zionist, a Haredi. You could be a modern Orthodox religious Zionist putting on tefillin, but you have those numbers on your arm. You could get a bracha from such a person. But the thing is, how many of those people do we have left? We don't have that many left. So now what, like the song Zaidi oh my Zaidi, who will be my children's Zaidi if not me? Who will be their Zaydis if not we? I mean, my Zaydi didn't have arms, didn't have the marks on his arms. He was born here, Baruch Hashem. His parents came here from Hungary before the war. But who will be our Zaydis? Who's going to be? We're not ready for that. We're not ready for that. That's what I'm talking about. It's along the lines what Chaim Potok wrote about in The Chosen, when they found out about what happened in the war, and they realized that now the American Jews we are the Jews now. We have responsibilities because Europe is gone. When Rabbi Victor Miller, was an American boy. This is a bad place for these breaks. It seems like it's not the whole trip, but this. I can't see over this. I should take this headrest off. Rabbi Victor Miller, American boy, learned in YU. And where did he go? He went to Slobodka. And, that's, and even if that's not what Chaim Potok was talking about, but we can't go back to Slobodka. We can go back and visit. There's nothing there. We can't go sit and learn in Slobodka. And even what little, yeshivas are popping up in Germany and this and that. The Chabad house opened in Iceland, and they just had the Hachnasa Sefer Torah. That's not that part of the world, but it's related to that for reasons I don't need to talk about right now. But it's not the same. All right, so we go to Yerushalayim. I don't know how smart that is or not, and this and that, and I went. I spent 1.5 years in Yerushalayim. And if you go to the right places, you do gain something there. But we send the boys to Lakewood in certain circles. Again, I don't know, what are we giving over now? That, it's like I said before, the difference, with all due respect to our Hasidic Rebbes that we have now, who were born in America, it's a difference between somebody who went through the Holocaust and survived and kept their faith and gave hope to the other survivors, and someone who's never stepped foot in a Walmart, or even if they had when they were younger, but they haven't in years and years. But the truth is, there's also a difference for the Rebbes who do go shopping in ShopRite and Walmart, and there are Hasidic Rebbes like that. Like I said, when I worked in ShopRite as a cashier, there were 2 Hasidic Rebbes who I saw there coming through. The one Rebbe, he was in the next aisle and the next cashier. I said, "Verwus der Rebbe kimt nicht mal mir?" And on the line, I said, "Ich bin du für jeder einer." I try to do that too. Ich bin du für jeder einer. I'm here for everybody. My work in the prisons, I tell the guys, I don't care if you're an atheist. If you have 5 atheists who want to get together and have someone teach them some ethics and morals, they want to learn what's the guy's name? It was at the tip of my tongue. Bertram Russell. I don't mean to teach everything Bertram Russell taught, but I mean the actual ethics he taught, even though he wasn't an ethical person, the way Rabbi Weinberger tells the story, right? So they want to sit and learn Bertram Russell, and then maybe they want to read some poetry that inspires them, and maybe even sing a hymn or something that's about ethics and morals, and it's from a non-theistic point of view. And maybe learn mindfulness and whatever else they want to learn. and they want to be inspired and have meaningful lives, as long as they're not putting down the other religions. I'm willing to treat the atheists like any other religion, just like I treat the Odinists and the Native Americans and the Buddhists and everybody else. And I try to treat everybody with respect and as much as we can to serve them, And I'm trying now to find a Rastafarian volunteer, and I'm trying to find a Santeria volunteer, and I'm trying to find a Wiccan volunteer, because I want to serve everybody. Van doe voor iedereen, like the Hornersteipler Rebbe told me at ShopRite. That's the priesthood of Melchizedek. That's the to be a Mishamesh. Like I said from from Onkelos, the word Kohen is translated many different ways in Onkelos. Kahana, which is just Kohen. Komera, a Komer, an idolatrous priest. Yisro is Rabbah the Midian, and a few others have the title Rabbah, which is like a Rav, which is like a rabbi, but it's also like a chief, like a Native American chief, like a or like a Nasa Trugoti or whatever else. And but it combines the religious and spiritual with the political leadership. But Melchizedek, as we mentioned, is called Mishamesh. He's a servant, he's a shamash, he's a gaba, he's a deacon, a diakonos. He does priestly things. Someone asked me yesterday, we were discussing this, he said, why would Abraham give tithes to a deacon instead of to a priest? We give our tithes to the Levites, not to the Kohanim. We give our Hebrew offerings to the Kohanim. That's going to be my answer. I got to answer that tomorrow or today if I see this guy. Ay, Rabbeinu Shalom. This is what I'm talking about. We to be a Rebbe, to be a Kohen al Divrasi Melchizedek, to be a priest by the order of Melchizedek. It doesn't mean to be sitting on the throne. It means to be a servant. Why? And that's what the Mefarshim explain. Why did Melchizedek bring out bread and wine? Not as a sacrament, but like Reb Shaila Karastira, to make sure the hungry people are being fed. And we have to feed people materialistically, and we have to feed people spiritually. We have to do both. Alright, I gotta learn. It's just I need to get that off of my chest. I don't want people to think that I'm against Holocaust memorials, but I want people to know there's a reason to memorialize the Holocaust. And the reason is to remind us of God, to see the miracles that happened there, to see the people. There was the one rabbi I remember from England, Ger Chassid, I don't remember his name. He would come to Shalayim for Yontiv, and he would make big sudas for anybody who didn't have where to eat. I went there a few times. He wrote a book. I don't remember his name right now. And this rabbi, he said the whole time that he was in the Holocaust, he did not get physically injured or hit or harmed even once. He recognized there were, you were asking before, some of the chevra here, some of our fellowship here, they were asking about, divine providence. There was the divine providence in the Holocaust. I mean, certain people did not get hurt at all. They went through the camps and they survived. They saw what happened. They went through hell. But some of us, we make the pilgrimage to Uman and we're like, I have to really sleep in an army tent. I'm thinking I want to go to on the 4th of July. Glenn Beck is having restoring the covenant, and now I see how expensive it is to go, and I can't afford that, and I can't justify doing that. And then I realized the Pesach hotels really aren't that expensive in the end. I have to see what the camping options are, but there's no Eruv, it's Shabbos, and Rabbi Lapin is going to be there, and Fear Shabbos Tish with Glenn Beck. I really want to be at such a thing. I really want to see that. It's very expensive, and I can't afford it. And I can't camp out on Shabbos. It's not Sukkot there's no Eruv, there's in Gettysburg. So I don't think I'm going to go, but I'd really like to go. Well, maybe I could camp out on. I don't know. How am I going to do that? Maybe if I rent a camper for the weekend. I don't know. Or I clean up my mom's camper. I wonder. She has a pop-up camper. I wonder if I could clean that up and take that to Gettysburg. I just sleep in my car. But then what am I going to do with the keys? So, we'll figure it out. Right? I don't know the whole Shabbos davening by heart. I need a sitter. I'll need to figure this out. But, or just not go. Monster Bash I can manage. The hotels are not that expensive. Tickets are not that expensive. But look how spoiled we are, and I'm not as spoiled as a lot of people, and I'm still very, very spoiled. And this is what I'm talking about. Maybe it's worth it for me to go to experience something like that for the reasons we're talking about here. Because we're so spoiled, we're so disconnected, and I'm talking about Orthodox Jews. People who daven 3 times a day, who put on tefillin, and then, go to Minyan every day. I mean, I don't have that luxury of going, I look at going to Minyan every day as a luxury that I don't have. I can't afford to go to Minyan every day. I have to go to work. I have things to do. It takes me an hour to get to work, and now I'm stuck behind a truck. So I'm going to clock in late again. I put on tefillin in the morning at home, and then I daven at work with another pair of tefillin because I want to put on my tefillin. I want to put on tefillin from the Aleph Institute. But I daven with tefillin on, and I'm talking, by next week already, the 8th will be early because one of my rebbeim is very strong that it's very important to daven after Nates. I understand if you have no choice, you have no. And he says, but he said, this definition of what's no choice, especially I'm not davening with Minyan anyway, because Minyan in my shul is at 8 o'clock. I have to be at work at 8 o'clock. So I don't have that luxury to daven every morning with a minyan. You know, by my Zayda, they daven at 6 o'clock because people have to get to work. And maybe we can, we could change things. I don't know. Maybe we could start a 6 o'clock minyan or something. I don't know. But, in the summer, people on vacation, they don't want to daven at 6 o'clock. So that's the story. That's the story. Who will be my Zaidi? Who will be our Zaidis if not we? That's the question, though, that we have to approach. Can we be our Zaidis? Can we be that? Can we do that? I don't know. I don't think so. My Zaidi wasn't a Holocaust survivor, and he was a powerful, spiritual, great man. The way that Rabbi Weinberger said that his father was his tzaddik, was his Rebbe. My Zaidi, on the board, clean shaven, the gray suit and the brown hat, or a brown suit and a gray hat. He had a few hats. But, he was a parole officer. He fought in Korea. I didn't have him already now for 22 years. But I remember the Zayda. I remember who he was. But who will be our Zaydis if not we? I don't feel like, with Bekisha and the beard and payas and the Streimel and white socks, am I being the Zayda to my children that they need? Am I being the role model that they need? Or am I just being a nachmacher? Am I just being I think I can make it before this truck. Am I just being a phony? I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But all right. And we all have to ask ourselves this question. And maybe after a while of being a phony, we start to be real. It's worth it for that, Rabbi Miller said. To say, I love you, God. I love you, Hashem. And after a while, beficha v'lbavcha lasoso. He said, maybe you're not David HaMelech. Maybe you're not loving God like King David loved God, but maybe you love God. Maybe it starts to happen. We got to talk about things. All right. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. We'll see you later.